and welcome back to my channel. My name's Christina and I am a homesteading homeschooling mama, and I am presenting you today with week 6 of the pantry challenge. Let's dig in. My daughter has requested chocolate oatmeal. I basically take the no-bake chocolate cookie recipe, the inspiration for that, and do an oatmeal from that. So it is definitely more of a treat-like breakfast, but we need a break from eggs, so I think that's what we're gonna do today. I am using whole grain oats, which I have on hand. We'll be using some peanut butter and things, but come along and we'll get it made. Hey, baby girl. Yes. Rosalie, we need 1.5 cups of oats, so go ahead and put, this is a half cup, so put 3 scoops in here. All right, so our oatmeal recipe on the back here just calls for 2.5 cups of water or milk and 1.5 cups of oats and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. I am doing half milk and half water in here because sometimes the milk scalds, so I just do a little bit less milk, but I like to have it in there for the nutrients. I'm gonna add to that cocoa powder, peanut butter, and vanilla. All right, I have some natural peanut butter I'm trying to use up. We really don't eat this very much. We bought it for a recipe. We're gonna put 1/3 cup of peanut butter in here and probably about 1/6 of a cup of cocoa powder. We added 1/2 cup of sugar. If your peanut butter already has sugar in it, then you may, want to taste it and see, but this one is unsweetened. And see if it's going to be sweet enough for us.
If it's not, then put in more sugar.
We might add more sugar. Yep.
I hope it's not, because I love sugar.
It's chocolatey, peanut buttery, and a little bit sweet. You want a little bit more sweet? We're gonna add about another 1/4 cup of sugar. And we'll add a teaspoon of vanilla. Or so,
Aww.
something like that. Requested more bread for his breakfast so he could have sandwiches or something like that, and I am gonna go ahead and try that egg bread recipe again. If you saw my short, I had one that just got way too big in here and made quite a mess, but it was really good. So I'm gonna try it again. Last time I used a 2-pound loaf. Now I'm gonna try it again with a 1.5 pound loaf to see if I can make it work a little bit better. For this recipe, I'm gonna be using 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 cup of warm water, 3/4 cup of milk, 2 large eggs. Cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 1/4 cup of yeast. 2 1/4 cup. 2 1/4 teaspoon of yeast.
Or 2 1/4 cup of yeast, that would be bad.
Yeah.
Man, that is what you did last time. That's what you did.
All right, and I'm gonna put my bread machine on a 1.5 pound loaf with a medium crust. No mix-ins. And push start.
Wait, now can you...
I've been relying on the bread machine a lot during this busy season and during the pantry challenge. I mean, you saw the hands-on time, right? That was it. It's so easy. Just throw it all in there, and then whenever the timer goes off, take it out, let it cool for a little bit, dump it out of the pan and cut it up, and you've got fresh homemade bread for your family. That's really good. Life's been busy. We've been running around for basketball practice and going to pick up sick kids from here and there and who knows what else. And I came home and the cows are out. Good thing Brian comes home soon. I'll just wait for him to help me round them up. All right, volunteers are a blessing and a curse. We didn't plant spaghetti squash last year, yet we still ended up with, I think, 42 spaghetti squash. So, we have a lot more than what my family really would like to eat in a year. I usually make spaghetti squash with the tomato sauce and onions and peppers and sausage, and that's okay, it's pretty good. But we had something similar to that a few days ago, so I'm gonna try to mix it up today. I found a recipe online on a website I shall not name. Darn delicious, if you will. I'll leave a link below. But it does a garlic Parmesan one that my friend recommended. So we're gonna give that a go today. And it's Valentine's Day, and I do have sausage thawed out from our freezer, and I decided I would put it in little heart-shaped patties and do that as a side with our dilly beans. Meatless meals don't go over real well around here. We need our protein. I don't mind a meatless meal. Look at me pointing with a knife. That's probably not wise. I don't mind a meatless meal, but my growing children and my husband are like, that was good. Now what's for dinner if I don't have meat? So we are gonna make sure to have some sausage in there. Originally I was gonna do that dilly salad with the beans in there and be like, oh, well, that'd be some protein, but I just don't think it's gonna be enough. So we're gonna do the little heart-shaped sausage patties too. Believe it or not, these spaghetti squash are from the summer. It is currently January. How we store these so that they can stay for a long time is I do put them in a refrigerator that we have in our basement for a few weeks to kind of harden them up a little bit, and then I just transfer them into a cold room that we have in our basement that we purposely keep cold with our potatoes and the spaghetti squash and some other canned items so that, you know, they can just stay preserved a little bit better. But most of these go really well. What I do is anything that has like anything that's not uniform on it, any kind of bumps and nicks and things, I put those on top of the pile, and then I put the better ones on the bottom so that the ones that are more scarred get used up first, because these ones have a tendency to rot first.
Are gonna be making spaghetti squash.
Rosalie,
What?
do you like spaghetti squash?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it different this time. How does Mommy usually make spaghetti squash?
She makes it like a bowl.
Like a bowl? Yeah.
But this time she's scooping it out and not having it as a bowl.
Rosalie likes spaghetti squash. She says it comes in its own fun little bowl. Don't you?
Yep.
All right, for this Valentine's Day, we had our dilly bean salad, our spaghetti squash with garlic and Parmesan and butter and cream, heart-shaped sausage patties, a little burnt, but okay, and some beet pickled eggs. Like your heart-shaped sausage, Rosalie? And now we're having some homestead convenience food, some canned soup for dinner for another day. This was a chicken and fish, actually, soup with some vegetables and things like that in there too. But we had made this for a special event for something we were doing for homeschooling, and I don't normally can fish, but It was a special thing we were doing. It was pretty good, and it really didn't taste particularly fishy, like in a bad way. I don't know. It doesn't sound that good, but it was fine. And then to make this stretch and go a little further, I added some macaroni, just a cup of macaroni there after it was already heated through, just until it was cooked through, and then we serve it. So I find that that's a good way to stretch your soups, adding some noodles in there. Oh, and I nearly forgot. We had some leftover hamburger buns, and I was making a grilled cheese sandwich to go with the soups. Good morning. We're out of bread, so I'm going to make muffins. I don't know what kind yet. I'm going to look in the pantry and see what we've got. Prunes, raisins, craisins, pecans, almonds. Let's see, coconut, dates, Reese cups. I'm doing the grains and grit basic muffin recipe, which I've done before. I'll be using the milk and vinegar to make some buttermilk. I've got my fresh milled grains here, salt, baking soda, what I end up choosing here, raisins, that's right, and some vanilla and eggs, baking powder, vegetable oil, honey. I'm almost out of this jar and I will move on to the other. So here I'm just going to start off with making some buttermilk. I'm doing a tablespoon for every cup of milk. So that'll be 1 tablespoon of acid. I chose here lemon juice, but you can use white vinegar also. And then you will pour your milk up to the 2-cup line. Here's what I'm doing with the 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then you'll just let that set for about 5 minutes or so, and then it should be ready. 4.5 cups of my freshly milled flour. Here I chose hard white wheat. Really, it was something that I had milled hoping to make a bread, never got to it, so they're going in muffins. But I really do prefer the soft white wheat in a muffin, but because I have hard white, that's what I'm going to use. All right, so then I added 2 teaspoons of salt. I promise this is baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, some pumpkin spice because I didn't have any cinnamon. I've run out, darn. And whisking those dry ingredients together, moving on to wet. I'm doing a cup of oil and a cup of honey. Do that oil first in your cup before you add the honey. And the honey just glides right out. It's amazing. It's like one of those life-changing things. Once you know, it's like, what took me so long to realize that? So wherever I heard that first, thank you, because that saved me some time. And this is honey that we harvested this year, our first time doing that. So that was exciting. But look, see? Easy peasy. And then 2 eggs, farm fresh country eggs. And then we'll just give that a little mixaroo. And we'll add to that some vanilla. I did 2 teaspoons of vanilla here. And I'm going to add my wet ingredients to the dry here. I almost forgot to add my buttermilk, if you can believe it. So that's kind of an afterthought. I probably would have added it in with the eggs. Though, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking buttermilk, eggs. Would it do something weird? Some sort of curdle thing? Probably not. Don't know. But we'll mix all that up. And now I'm aiming to add about 2 cups of raisins here. I love the mason jars because they have those marks that measure right along the side on some of them, not all of them. But it's pretty convenient for something like this. So we'll just get that mixed in, and then it's time to spray the tins. And I don't know about you, but I like to make sure when I spray my tins, not only am I getting the holes that the batter is going to go in, but all of the top also, because I always spill some, and then if I don't spray the top, then I end up with some sticking. So, and I would not recommend doing this, spraying it like that. I did it for your benefit, okay? But I ended up with oil all over my floor and then footprints all over my floor. But you know what it did? It made me just go ahead and give it a quick mop, and we were all more comfortable for it. Oh yeah, and I sprayed my measuring cup too. Just like the same concept with the oil and the honey, it just helps that batter just slide right out. And then if ever it starts to stick at all, you can just give it another spray. And I know maybe those sprays aren't the best. It's aerosol. You know, it might have some additives and things like that in the oils, but you know, sometimes we just take the easy things where we need them. So for me, that is something that I am doing right now, but who knows, maybe later in life, whenever I've got another arm or something, I'll go, maybe I shouldn't have been using that spray. All right, for lunch today, we're going to have some tomato soup, and I'm going to make some biscuits using some lard and bacon grease and milk and a self-rising flour. And I'm going to use this cheddar cheese. I'm just going to mix it in there. I don't really have, we had grilled cheese sandwiches last night with some soup, so today I'm going to do a different soup and some biscuits to try to mix it up a little bit. And I have got this pineapple over here. I have no idea if it's still good, but we'll probably cut that up and enjoy it too. I'm using Hudson Cream self-rising flour to make the biscuits today, and to do that we are going to be using 4 cups of Hudson Cream self-rising flour. I'm using about 1/3 cup of lard and 1/3 cup of bacon grease because that's what I had on hand. I will be doing 1 1/2 cup of milk with that, and I'm adding in some cheese. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, just probably about 1.5 cups of cheese or so, and then I'll go ahead and add just a little bit of water here at the end just to get it to the consistency that I want. I did not feel like rolling out biscuits today. I felt like I was kind of in a hurry, so we're doing these more drop style, and it worked out fine. Actually, I'll be honest with you, it was kind of something I felt like I was throwing together and on a whim, and the other day my husband was like, I like these biscuits. And I thought to myself, okay, and I'm waiting for the what? Or I'm sorry, for the but, and he said, they're just the kind of thing you want for breakfast. And I was like, aw, well, thank you. I was kind of waiting for the, but I'm getting tired of them. Could we have this tomorrow or something like that? I don't know. He's not one to complain, honestly, but I just kind of thought there was something else coming, and it was just nice to hear those affirmations. The sad pineapple did have some bad spots in it, but it wasn't so bad that we couldn't eat it. We just, cut away the stuff that wasn't so great and ate the rest, and it was juicy and delicious and sweet and all the things that a ripe fruit should be. All right, for dinner we are having calzones, and I'm going to make the best pizza crust. I am going to be using all-purpose flour for some of it, and then the other is going to be some freshly milled hard wheat. For this recipe, so we'll need the flour, yeast, salt, oil, warm water, sugar. The only thing that I'm gonna do a little bit differently is that if you are using all-purpose flour, I'm doubling the recipe. For the all-purpose flour, you would need 6 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour. But since I am using the rest of my freshly milled flour before I use this, then I'm going to need, for every 1 cup of all-purpose flour, I would need 1 1/4 cup of freshly milled wheat. So that's the only thing I'm doing differently. But this recipe is wonderful. It gets really poofy and big, and these calzones are always like more than what a person should have, probably, but they're really good. We'll go ahead and start by proofing the yeast. So we'll just need some warm water and yeast and sugar into our mixing bowl. Mix that up and let it rest for about 5 minutes. Again, all the recipes I will leave down below for you. So after your yeast, sugar, and water set for 10 minutes and get all foamy and delicious, you're gonna go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients, which is the oil and salt, and then go ahead and mix in the rest of the flour. Then you're just going to knead the dough till it's no longer sticky. We'll cover the dough and let it rise for about an hour. And while we wait, I'll go ahead and start prepping the ingredients that might go inside our calzones. I like to make a little board of various ingredients for people to choose from. And really, I think whenever there's all the things there, you know how you just kind of like want to put everything in there? I do think that they add more vegetables inside their calzones if they're building their own than if I were to say, would you like this in it? Would you like that in it? I think when it's all out and presented to them, it's beautiful and they're adding more variety, which means more nutrients, which makes me happy. We've got some homemade pizza sauce that I canned over the summer that we're going to use for our calzones today. We're gonna have some bacon bits in there. You saw those peppers and onions that are already on the board, ready to go. The peppers just came from our freezer, and some people say that they make your freezer stink, and guess what? They're right. So if you're really adverse to the smell of peppers, I wouldn't do that. I also had some pepperoni from probably the last time we made calzones in our freezer that I'm gonna go ahead and place on the board here, and I'm gonna go see what else I can round up. Oh, okay, there's another jar of pizza sauce from the fridge. Last night's pineapple, for maybe some pineapple in there, some olives, and some jalapenos. All right, let's look at this beautiful dough here. It has been rising. Our ingredients are prepped. We'll punch that down. Oh, so satisfying. Yes. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and divide this dough up. There will be 6 calzones being made tonight. Carter is waiting patiently for his. Oh yes, and some folks in our house love dough. I don't know about you, but they're like, can I have some? So oftentimes if I'm making something with the dough, I've got to share it, and that's fine with me. Now, the thing that you need to be careful about with the dough is to not overwork it. Some people really love the process of rolling out the dough. Carter. Some people love the process of rolling out the dough, but if you just play with it too much, it has a tendency to shrink back on itself and not be as big as it once was. You know what I mean? So just be careful, work quickly with it, and start building. This is a fun dinner because everybody just gets to make their own, and it's usually a process people enjoy. If it's something they don't enjoy, I don't mind to do it for them. I enjoy it, but usually people want to get involved. So I usually tell the kids just to spread the pizza sauce on half of their calzone that they rolled out, and to make sure to leave a lip around the edge so that whenever you fold the dough over, it can seal. But sometimes I forget to remind them before they do it, even though we've done it a few times. I did also portion out that cheese amongst all of us because we were running a little bit low on the cheese, and I didn't want anybody to feel like they didn't get as much as someone else. So I portioned that out, and then the kids just pick from the board what their ingredients. Carter has here pepperoni, and let's see what else. All right, after a nice thick layer of pepperoni, we found some more cheese in a bag that needed used up, so he got it, and some olives, and then he's doing onions and green pepper. Because Carter accidentally took his sauce all the way to the edge, when I fold over his calzone today, I'm actually going to kind of wrap it under a little bit to make sure that the dough is sticking to dough and not just to like the saucy parts, because it just won't hold, and then all that stuff will leak out on the tray and it will burn and be no good. And then I just kind of rolled it up to move it to the tray to bake it on. Time does vary on these depending on how much stuff you put inside. Most of the calzones I make cook within 15 to 20 minutes, but sometimes if they have more ingredients on the inside, they do take longer. What we usually do is just lift up the calzone off the baking sheet, and if you can tap the bottom and it makes that like hard, not hollow noise, then it is done. Yeah, I am excited to eat these. Thank you very much. And I forgot to tell you, we usually put like a little decoration on the top of some kind to signify whose is whose. So maybe this one has like pepperoni with bacon, and that was one person's. But anyway, these are huge. They take up the whole plate. They're delicious. Usually I have half of mine today and then half the next day for lunch, but some people eat all of it and they're happy with that. And that's what I've got for the pantry challenge for you this week. Thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. Be sure to check back next week because I have a whole nother set of from scratch cooking for you. Thank you.